This episode of Nintendo Pow Block is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support Nintendo Pow Block and the Boss Rush Network, head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/Boss Network and see which tier is right for you. Thanks for your continued support. Hello everybody, welcome to Nintendo Pow Block here on Boss Rush Network. I'm your host and light excited Eddie V. Joining me is the one, the only bossman himself, Mr. Corey Deary. Hello, good sir.
Hello, Edward. I'm how are you?
I am let's just say busy. Getting ready for PAX, getting my flight stuff next week. Getting some about to start setting up the interviews because a lot of them just dropped in my email, so I got to get that all together and make sure I get them on the calendar, and then go clothes shopping for PAX. You know, get my cards and get my shirts for PAX, and be ready to go. Cause on the 29th, 4:00 call. Cause I think, like I said, the flight that I seen was it like at 6:25 in the morning, and so I'm just like, well, I gotta be there 2 hours early, so that means I gotta be out the house at 4 in the morning. So it's just like I rather do what I need to do and be at the airport. So but saw the Borderlands movie.
Oh no.
So
I mean, I'm sure it's not as bad as people are saying it is, but also
right.
like it's Borderlands. What do you want from it?
Exactly, and it's such a popcorn movie. Like I put on my Twitter.
I mean, it's got a decent cast. It's got like, I don't know what you want. It's a Borderlands movie. It's not going to be like top tier cinema.
And it's all about guns. It's a looter shooter, basically. And like Kate Blanchett, she did a really good job playing as Lilith and everything. And so the way that some of the stuff goes down is really cool. The fights are good. Like they're not bad or anything. Clegg, who protects Tiny Tina, he does a good job and everything. Like it's a good movie to watch. I won't say that everybody go out and see it, but definitely like video demand or a rental, or if you do buy it, it's a good like Saturday night flick. No, it's fun. I would say it doesn't need to be Deadpool and Wolverine high octane kind of action, but it does a good job of feeling like a video game movie. You know, like they stuck to the video game parts to it, and everything, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. The crazy thing though, Corey, is that I went to the first showing and I was the only one there. Like I sat in the middle seat and was waiting for more people to come in, and no one paid $7.50 to go see that movie. I'm like, oh, okay, so wow, so yeah. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I know we got a review coming for the movie soon, so I cannot wait to read that. But yeah, it was a good popcorn film. Everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch it when it comes to some streaming service eventually. I don't know. I don't like going to the theater. I don't know. I'd rather be home. You know, I'm at that point in my life where I just want to be home all the time. It doesn't matter.
I wonder how would movies do if you could just rent them, like a new release instead of going to the theater.
Well, Disney tried that for a while. Disney tried that on Disney Plus, and I mean, I wonder if it would be different now if they would have to write it into some contracts or whatever. But like, actors were like suing Disney because they were supposed to get money off the back end of the theater releases, but they were also like, I remember the big one was Black Widow, because I think I can't remember if it came out like right after like the pandemic kind of not curfew, whatever, the lockdown was kind of over.
Yeah.
But they released it on Disney Plus for $30, and they also released it in theaters. And Scarlett Johansson has some sort of, I don't know, back end deal. I don't 100% know what the contract stipulations were, but she tried to sue Disney for the money that they made off of the Disney Plus release, and because she doesn't get any of that money. So it was, I'm sure it might be different now, but I mean, I 100% agree with you. I think that there should be some sort of rent at home release, if not opening weekend, maybe like 2 weeks after the movie comes out or something. I don't know. Because I know there's people that still like to go to the theater, and that's fine. I mean, obviously, like, movies are doing amazing. I mean, look at Deadpool and Wolverine, look at Inside Out 2, look at, some of these other movies that are doing pretty well. So
I think Inside Out 2 is that on video?
It's coming out on digital on August 20th, and then it's coming out on Blu-ray on September 10th or something.
Okay. I think it's the emotion one. No, that is Inside Out too.
That is Inside Out.
Sorry about that. Yeah, because I like the first one, Inside Out. That one was really, really good.
Yeah, my daughter likes it because the girl in the movie's name is Riley.
Oh, I know I got the Fall Guy, so I need to watch that on my Series X. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it and everything. I kind of put they're making I shouldn't say, but they're making a Pharrell movie from the Neptunes in Lego form. I'm like, wait, what? So it's going to be an interesting movie. I think it's coming out like in October. So it's coming out this year, and Snoop is in it. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be an interesting movie. But I'm like, are these folks going to take their kids to go see this? It's so weird and everything. And then there's another movie with Channing Tatum in it called Blink Twice.
That's like that horror movie, right?
Yeah, that looks like good. That looks fun and intriguing. So I may go see that, but I don't know. And then something is coming August 15th through the 16th. I think it was Airplane. Oh, no, it was Blazing Saddles. The Fathom events. I don't know if you heard of that. FATHOM.
I know what Fathom events are.
Okay. Yeah, they're doing Blazing Saddles the 15th and the 16th of this month. So I got to check my schedule because I want to go see. I want to see it in the theaters and fall out laughing because it looks like it's going to be a ball of a time. And then next Friday, and then I'll actually Corey. I'm sorry. Next Friday, there's Thursday. I'm sorry. There's a podcast called Unspooled, and they're doing summer disaster movies. So their next episode, they're talking about Airplane. And I just like, oh, I need to rewatch Airplane so I can just listen to this podcast because Airplane is still one of the best comedies I ever seen. Everything that I just fell out laughing. So, with Spaceballs being maybe number 2. I gotta do a list of comedic movies and stuff because like I'm gonna get you sucker as one of them. Like there's a lot of comedies that I thoroughly enjoy. So nice. But how are you doing, Corey?
I'm doing all right. I don't feel very good. So but as they say, the show must go on. So I don't know, I've been working a lot. I've been doing a lot of I've actually been rewatching the original X-Men animated cartoon from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on
Oh,
the fourth
lucky.
I'm on the fourth season in like a week and a half.
How
uh
many episodes was the first one? First season?
I don't they're like they're like 13 to 20 episodes a season.
Okay,
So
because I
I
remember.
season 3 was 18 episodes and it ended on the Dark Phoenix saga. So yeah.
Because I think didn't it switch to another channel after the
I don't
third season?
I don't remember. I just remember watching it. I don't remember what was going on because Marvel I don't remember. I really don't remember.
Okay, because I remember it was on Fox Kids on Saturdays. It was
Yeah.
like
Because
around 10.
it was that and then like reruns of Ninja Turtles and then there was like all kinds of
Yeah,
other things like shoot. There was a bunch of other things going on. Like there was like the wasn't the Street Fighter cartoon on and like reruns or like the 75th iteration of GI Joe and
yeah.
stuff like
Because
that.
Street Fighter Mortal Kombat was on USA Network on Saturdays, and stuff. Because like I remember at 11 they would show Dragon Ball, and then 11:30 they would show like wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
around that time.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I remember like Fox, CBS, NBC, and ABC used to be like definitely back in the 80s and a little bit of the 90s, the cartoon hubs for Saturday cartoons and stuff.
Um, yeah, so I've been watching that, and it's funny because Disney just announced a whole line of like I would say mid to high end collectibles of X-Men 97 at D23.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all so cool. There's one where like Gambit is like surfing on the back of Wolverine.
Oh wow!
And Wolverine's running with like his claws are charged up with like Gambit's charging ability.
Yeah,
It looks really cool, and the Jubilee one looks cool, and Beast looks cool. It's just I don't know, and I've also been like watching some of the episodes with my son, and he's like
mm-hmm.
pretending to be Wolverine now. He's like Wolverine, he's got claws, and he's like, "Arr!" And like it's funny, it's funny. But I forgot how because like everything is so highly produced and high budget and
Yeah,
they get the best voice acting and stuff. It's so funny how bad like not bad but like how I guess pedestrian the animation in the voice acting was in 90s and 80s and 90s cartoons.
mm-hmm.
It's just like and like the villains all sound like just awful like screeching voices. It's like why did they decide that this was a good idea for bad guys to have because like and Transformers was the same way with like Megatron and Starscream and stuff like that where they
Yeah,
were just like the weird high like that I'm Starscream, you know what I mean, like that kind of weird voice, and I'm just like who thought this was a good idea back then?
I mean, yeah, because the high pitch evil sound was like kind of the thing. Like even Krang from
Yeah,
Ninja Turtles.
yeah, it
Like
was like Krang and like Skeletor from He-Man and
yeah,
like those voices. I'm just like I guess I just don't really I just forgot because like Shredder's just Uncle Phil, from
right.
so like he didn't have that voice, so you just don't really think about it, and you think about all the thugs just sound like big dummies, right? Like their voice acting is like, huh, I'm the henchman, huh? Kind of like dumb
Right.
like that. So it's weird hearing all these villains and like I don't know, and then you have like the over the top voice acting from like the voice actor of Magneto and Storm and
Mm-hmm.
Cyclops are all over the top, and Jean Grey and like the actress for Jean Grey is like overly dramatic, and it's just it's fun, but like I just forgot how much I loved these characters. I mean, I love the X-Men, but like I just forgot how
Yeah.
much I loved these characters. Like I forgot how cool Rogue was in the cartoon because the movies don't do her any justice, you know? And like,
Hey, sugar. And
yeah, yeah,
the voice acting for Rogue,
it's so good.
I, it's so good. I adore it. And even when she's like, I think she was the episode that she was fighting her mom, I think, or
Hmm.
no, the person who gave her powers,
Hmm.
and she was fighting them, and then at the end, she's and she had her grave or something, or no, or it was something that the woman was at. I think she was in like she was comatose or something in
Oh,
a or something.
it's Captain Marvel. It's Carol Danvers.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, and she was just and she put the flowers or something, or she touched the
Hmm.
screen, and it
Yeah.
was just like, who knew that a cartoon like that could be so emotional?
Yeah,
And
this
the voice actor, like, yeah, go ahead.
it gets really deep. Like there's some like I mean like as deep as like a 90s cartoon can get in
Hmm.
20 minutes of animation, but like yeah, there's that and like like when Cyclops finds out like the one space pirate guy is his dad or like you know, spoilers I guess for the 30-year-old cartoon. Or like you know when you find out that Professor X is connected with that one being from space, right? And they are like
Yeah,
supposed to be connected lovers through some sort of fate magic, and it's really good. I'm really enjoying it, and like yeah, I forgot like Mystique is like Rogue's adoptive mother, and like she faked it like half the time. You know,
uh-huh.
like it's crazy. I forgot all of these storylines and like when I was watching the X-Men movies back in the day, I was like I just thought it was cool that we were finally getting the X-Men on in live action.
Yeah.
And like I forgot how like bad the storylines were mixed up, right? Because like,
Hmm.
you know, in the movies, Iceman kind of takes the place of Gambit.
Yeah, they
And
had a
in that
reason for that
storyline.
one. I think they said. I think they said they couldn't. The CG
Well,
wasn't
yeah,
up to par or something.
well, yeah. Plus, like you, if you're trying to find a big star, like you already have a lot of stars in that movie, right? You have Patrick Stewart, you have Ian McKellen. Obviously, Hugh Jackman became a star, right? Like
Mm.
you have your stars. You can't really introduce Gambit after that, right? Like so, I don't know. I wonder. I do wonder how the whole um, trajectory of X-Men would have changed, or like comic book movies in general would have changed if Gambit was in those movies instead of someone like Wolverine or you know.
I may have to buy the trilogy. I'm gonna see if it's on Blu-ray because man, X
It is. I
Men
have the entire thing.
the second film is still the best out of the X Men movies.
So
It is
here's the
still
thing.
the best.
I've re- before Deadpool and Wolverine came out, I
Hmm.
rewatched. I would say about 80% of the Fox Marvel stuff. So like
Yeah,
Fantastic Four and um I have to say the first movie is probably the worst of the original trilogy. I know people like to point at Last Stand and they're like, "Oh, the third movie's the worst one." I'm like, "Maybe, but I think you're comparing it to the things that came after, you know, or before that,
yeah.
right? Like, okay, X-Men 2 obviously really good, but like you also got both Spider-Man movies before then and like the first Fantastic Four movie isn't terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible for that. And
It's
if you look at the time it came out, right? Like it's
yeah.
not terrible. And then the only other great movie I would say would be Blade, right? The
Mm.
first one. And then, you know, you got a decent sequel before that third X-Men movie. So yeah, if you're comparing it to those, then sure, X-Men 3 is like mediocre at best, but like it's out of that original X-Men trilogy, it's definitely not the worst one.
I yeah.
Come
You
on,
know what?
Sabretooth and Toad from the first movie are terrible characters. They're the worst. Ray Park goes from playing Darth Maul in Star Wars to Toad in X-Men. Come on.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, come on.
And Ray Parker, he's such an amazing martial artist.
Yeah.
Like I love his movies, and everything. Uh,
Yeah. It's
I think that's why I probably really need to watch the trilogy again because it's been so long.
Yeah.
Um, that I've seen them.
Yeah. I would, man, I would really love to like do. I mean, we started to do this on Standard Def a long time ago, where we were starting to rewatch the Marvel movies, and we got through phase 1 of the MCU before, you know, one of the hosts that was involved with that, you know, had a kid and had to kind of step away, and you know, we got overwhelmed with work and scheduling, and you know, Standard Definition is kind of still on ice. But the one thing I would really love to do still is like go through all of the Marvel, like the Marvel movie, starting with Blade, like MCU, Fox, Sony, all of them in order of release, whether they're attached to the quote unquote MCU or not, because now they're all technically attached to the MCU in some fashion, and just kind of go through them and kind of review them. But you know, that's a that's a chore for another day. But I gotta tell you, rewatching the X-Men cartoon, because like I've been wanting to watch X-Men 97, but I'm like, I should refresh myself on the original cartoon before I start watching X-Men 97, because X-Men 97 is only like 10 episodes, I think. But like I've been the D23 collectibles that they have are just like, I'm like, man, if they have a Rogue one, and that Jubilee one is cool, and that Gambit and Wolverine one, those ones, like I would love to get those, although they're probably all like $200+ because it's they're quote mid to high end collectibles, so you know they're gonna be
worth some money. And I know we're gonna get into housekeeping, everybody, but I kind of think with and everybody probably who heard us spoil Deadpool versus Wolverine last episode, you know, still go see the movie if you haven't. There's a lot that we didn't talk about.
I want to rewatch it so bad.
I'm definitely gonna buy it when it comes out. Like it's such a great Friday night, get some pizza and drinks and watch it with people kind of movie and everything.
Yeah, I want to watch it. I want to watch it with my wife and see what she thinks, because like there are like people who have not watched the Fox movies will like the movie, right? Because it's just a good movie and it's really funny. But people who grew up with these movies, like, I mean, we talked about it, like when Wesley Snipes walks in as Blade and you hear the Blade like track drop when he walks in, and the camera just pans up from his feet to his head, and you just see the glasses, and like I was dead. I was done.
I was like, once I realized it was Wesley Snipes, I'm like, wait a minute, Blade? Because when Electra walked out first, I was just like, okay.
Yeah,
like,
well, I knew Jennifer Garner was in the movie.
Right. I knew that. I remember the face. I just didn't know the name. But I'm just like, that's Electra.
Yeah. And then like, oh, man, Channing Tatum as Gambit, man. Sorry, I know we're talking about this again, but like
that still trips me out that he was
Entertainment Weekly and like some of these other outlets have been retweeting and showing videos of Channing Tatum training as Gambit, and I'm like, man, I would love to see, like, I don't want a Gambit movie because I don't know if Gambit could hold a movie on his own, but I would love to see Channing Tatum as Gambit in a newly formed X-Men movie, right? Or like a movie that involves the X-Men, whether that's Secret Wars or you know, whatever they're doing with these Avengers movie. I don't know what they're doing, man. Like, I just want to see, I would love to see Gambit again but like, especially like if he's going to keep doing the accent, right?
Yes.
That can't carry a whole movie. people are going to get annoyed if you have to listen to that for 2 hours. It's got to, like, he either has to like change it, or he's got to be a side character, like a sidekick character.
I could do like a 50-minute origin short. Like if they did, like, let's just say they Deadpool Wolverine comes out, like when it comes out on Blu-ray, and that as a special extra, they have a 15-minute of him showing how he got his powers and everything, who he fought, and then how he got into the X-Men. And if they could do that like in 15 minutes or 20 minutes, that'd be something cool.
Well, like I said, like, he would be a great character in an ensemble cast, like he was in Deadpool and Wolverine. But like, I don't think you could do a solo Gambit movie. I don't think you could do a solo Gambit movie.
Yeah,
that's my opinion. But anyways, you can tell we were scraping the bottom of the barrel for news this week. So, this is what the show is. You signed up for this.
Don't unsign everybody. Please
leave us a 5-star rating on them Apple podcast.
Yeah,
you come to this Nintendo podcast to hear about not Nintendo stuff.
Not Nintendo stuff. Well, Corey, let's get into this housekeeping. If you want to support Nintendo Pow Block and our other podcasts, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. Subscribing to tiers on our Patreon can grant you perks like the new exclusive post shows, voting rights for spoiler casts, and video game book club, exclusive question threads for Spotlight Podcasts, early access to After Dark, and more. As always, though, your viewership and listenership is enough for us. Subscribe to the Boss Rush Network on YouTube and like this video. If you listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or even if you don't, leave us a rating and a nice review on those platforms. You can find all of our banters, features, listicles, reviews, and more on our website, bossrush.net. So, yeah. Man. Well, Corey, how about we get into Snacktendo?
Yeah, we could do that. So,
and
man, so yes. I'll have a Snacktendo you'll appreciate next week, but also this week, I guess. So you know how I talk about that place Dewey's with like the I would say not garbage pizza. It's like like a higher level of pizza.
Yeah.
We got the Santa Fe chicken pizza from there last weekend, and it's the best pizza, man. Their crust is just like thin and soft, and it's just so good with the chicken and the corn and bean salsa mix and the red peppers and the barbecue sauce. It's so good, man.
Is it tavern cut, like with the squares?
No, it's triangle cut. Come on,
triangle cuts.
Come on, get your tavern pizza out of here. We don't do that here.
Really? You don't for thin crust?
We don't do that here. It's not thin crust. It's just like a thinner dough. Like, it's not like, you know how like you go to Pizza Hut and the crust is like thick and crunchy, and
yeah,
it's not that. It's just like soft bread. It's just like, it tastes like warm bread. You know, it doesn't taste like crust. And that's my favorite pizza, is like when it doesn't taste like crust, which I know is weird to say about pizza, but
I'm thinking of like, it's like a tombstone kind of pizza in a sense.
No, I would say like a flatbread pizza is kind of more what the crust tastes like, but it's not a flatbread. It's round and large, but it tastes more like a flatbread pizza.
Okay.
But man, it was so good. I think that's probably it. I think that's about it. I think that's all I ate in terms of interesting things.
Okay. So. For me, I had a stuffed hot dog, which is pretty much a hot dog with cheese on it.
Hot dog with cheese.
I had that. That was so good.
Sounds strange.
Because I just haven't had a hot dog in a while, so I just decided to get that. I was at Target, so I just decided to get that. Because I was gonna go for a lasagna, But I didn't feel like cooking and waiting and stuff. I'm just like, I just got off of work, and I'm like, and I don't really want to cook, so I wanted something quick and easy. So I seen that, and I'm like, okay, let me get some ketchup, some mustard, some relish, and that'll be good. And then I had some pepperoni pizza puffs from the grocery store, and that was really really good. Ours do on Wednesdays they have a buy one get one free, so that's what I got. Um, I was just like, oh, cool, and everything. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I had. Nothing special. I had some Haagen Dazs New York strawberry ice cream yesterday. Just wanted to treat myself. Um, now that the weather's kind of cooled down, it feels really good. It feels really good.
Nice.
So yes.
Nice. Man, I'm just sorry, I'm looking at like some of this stuff. There is so much coming out. Dude, that week Zelda comes out. You know there's 5 games coming out that week.
Do I
I'm just
there's
like,
stuff
on,
this there's stuff this month I cannot get until next month. So like Star Wars Outlaws, I can't get this month. Visions of Mana, I can't get this month. I gotta get that all next month. And then on top of Zelda and some other games. I'm like, oh man.
Man, crazy.
Exactly.
Crazy.
And then it depends on all the stuff that's gonna be at PAX. I'm like, and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, PAX, man.
Excuse me.
I'm gonna be broke for a while. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I'm gonna have like money for Zelda maybe, and that's it for the rest of the life. Yeah. So, anyways, continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack
No. Everybody, it's time for Play with Power. And before we get to Play with Power, everybody, yes, we will have a Snacktendo about PAX West. There's going to be some food that we are going to be talking about because I'm excited to try some Seattle food. So
I mean, based on how much Seattle food costs, I don't know if I'm going to be eating it all while we're there.
Oh,
jeez. Oh, man. So
and because of you and these Earl sandwiches, I'm like, dude, how can you look it up and be like, where's the Earl sandwich at? Dang it, there's only in Kentucky. That's the closest one. Like, I'm not about to.
Is there one in Seattle?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up.
Because if it is, Thursday, if there is one, we must find it and we must get it. Like, there is no joke.
I would love to, but apparently there are already plans made for us to go out to dinner that I tangentially saw in Discord, and I don't know what we're doing or where we're going, but hope it doesn't cost money because I am beyond broke. Like, I'm seriously probably gonna have to like sell some stuff to take some money with me.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's fine.
If not, I got
nope.
You.
Hold on. All locations. United States, Canada. I don't want to go to Canada. Seattle, Washington. There's none in Washington at all. So
why they not opening up this business everywhere?
I don't know, man. I don't know. There's 7 in Florida. Does Florida really need that many? Come on.
Right.
Come on. Bring one to Ohio. Come on.
Right.
Look.
Nothing but a 6.5 hour train ride for me.
Oh my gosh. The things I would give to have an Earl of Sandwich right now. Dude, if there was an Earl of Sandwich around here, I would be beyond broke. We wouldn't be able to podcast because I wouldn't be able to buy games. I would sell my games to eat Earl of sandwiches. I'm just telling you.
You know how jealous I would be. I'd be like, I'm gonna have to make a trip.
The only thing I'd have left would be like my Switch and maybe my Xbox Series S, and everything else. Everything in this room would be gone.
Wow.
Oh man.
But that's a lot of weight to put on. So
I know.
You have to.
Speaking of weight, I need to like start being lean and mean for the next 3 weeks before we go. So,
yes.
I was looking something up and then I forgot. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay. Continue. Sorry.
No, no. Everybody, it's time for Play with Power. And Corey, we kind of have a lot of Playing with Power.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, for me, it's a lot. It's a little bit of a lot. Um, so I mean, I haven't really been playing a lot because of work and stuff, but I've been trying to play
mhm.
here and there, and um, trying to get some extra recordings in before PAX, so we can all kind of have that, so everybody can kind of have that week off afterwards, because PAX is going to be a busy weekend for everybody, and
Yeah.
you know, uh, so I've been recording, and I actually have more recordings next week beforehand, so that'll be great. Um, but I've been playing a little bit of a lot. I've been playing Ocarina of Time because that's our book club game this month. Um, so I mean, I have just snuck through the castle and talked to Zelda. That's where I'm at.
Okay.
Um,
So you like halfway through the game.
Halfway. No, I've only done the Deku tree, and then I snuck through the castle.
Oh, I'm thinking of Twilight Princess.
Oh my gosh. I wish we were doing Twilight Princess. It's a much superior game, in my opinion. Uh so I'm playing that. I kind of, because I haven't played it in like 30 years. So like I am just trying to make my way through, and I'm heading to Death Mountain, and
Hmm.
it's Ocarina of Time. I don't really know what else to say except for like I went to the castle, and I figured out how to sneak through the castle, and now I'm on my way to Death Mountain. I'm ready to do a real dungeon. Not that the Deku Tree isn't a real dungeon. It's definitely
It's
the
it's
beginner
a good
dungeon.
training.
It's definitely the beginner dungeon, right? So
Yeah.
uh you know, so I'm playing that. Uh I played some more Splintered Fate, the Ninja Turtles game. Um it's fun. I'm getting to the point where like, I'm ready for it to be over, I think, in a way of like I want to get through it and beat the final boss and just say I beat it. But like the thing is like you have to you have to fight your way through all of the bosses to get there, apparently, because like I just keep reset. I've fought Leatherhead like 100 times at this point, and I'm like, come on, I'm like ready to be done fighting Leatherhead and the giant Mauser, and like making my way through the
Yeah.
second tier and third tier, and so um but it's a really fun game, but this is exactly the reason why I hate roguelikes. So
Because it's pretty much the same
it
run after
it
run.
is it is and I mean, it's the same issue I had with Dead Cells, right? Like the game is extremely fun to play, the weapons are extremely fun to use, the power-ups are extremely fun to use, uh but at the end of the day it just resets itself. And even though you get permanent upgrades, right, depending
Mhm.
on how you upgrade yourself with the dragon coins and the I forget what the other one's called, the wish coins, something like that, the dream coins, I forget. There's two currencies that you use to upgrade yourself with, and it, like, no matter how much you upgrade yourself, it still just resets itself. And yes, those sections get easier, but the fact that you have to play through those sections again and fight those bosses again and get to, as it's just, this is the reason why I hate roguelikes. And even for a Ninja Turtles game, for me to have put this much time into it, they're they're lucky. Uh, but I'm getting really kind of tired of the restarting and stuff. So, uh, like I said, it's a really really fun game. It feels like an
Mhm.
evolution of the arcade games, right? It feels like a great evolution of the arcade games, but like I wish it was just a game and not a like a I'm gonna go here to here to here to here and be done with it. Um,
Right.
so I've also been playing Wolfenstein: The New Order. Uh, I don't really know why, but I have been, and it's really fun. It's a nice change of pace from Destiny in terms of a first person shooter, because it's a lot faster pace. The story is way more brutal and interesting and kind of scary to, kind of realize that they're like, yes, I know that I know the Nazis were real in World War II, but it's just like sometimes when you see this stuff playing out on screen, and it's visceral and violent, and it's just like you cringe to know that this may have been how the world would have turned out if the Nazis won in World War II. And it's just like, oh my gosh, this is so hard to watch sometimes.
It's Machine Games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta give it up to them. They really like great production, great fights and stuff. Great story.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good, and I'm just like, oh, I know y'all did y'all research, and this doesn't feel like it was a remake of the old Wolfenstein 2, or
no.
it feels like this is its own story, and it's very detailed. Like it's very believable in its execution.
Look, I played Wolfenstein 3D on PC once or twice, right? Like the super pixelated, let's run through this old Windows screensaver levels and just, shoot these pixelated Nazis or whatever. And I mean, like Wolfenstein, Doom, those types of games, I never really got into them, right? My first real exposure to Wolfenstein was Return to Castle Wolfenstein on Xbox, the original Xbox. That game is awesome. And then there was a PS2 equivalent that was like a similar game but different. There's two different versions. One came out on PS2 and one came out on Xbox. And those games are excellent. And then I remember Raven did like a reboot of sorts, just called Wolfenstein, and that was published by Activision. It's so funny to think that, like, you think about EA and Activision right now, and I know this is just a side tangent, but whatever. Everybody will get over it. But Return to Castle Wolfenstein on Xbox was a collaborative effort between EA and Activision, which is like insane to think about. But also, like, you think of the original Xbox and PS2, like Call of Duty wasn't a thing, and Activision was just this small kind of thing that was publishing Crash games and mediocre Spyro games and whatever else they were trying to do back then. So Wolfenstein's really great if you have a modern console somewhat. Like, it also, like, I forgot the last time I played this was when it was on Xbox 360 and it was 4 discs. And so, like, I'm playing it in that mindset of like, man, this is an Xbox 360 game and it still looks really great. And I mean, granted, I'm playing it with like all the features that the Series X can do, right? Like auto HDR and up-res to 4K and all these other things. And like, when you get up close to textures, there are some textures that are like very clearly you're not supposed to see them up close like this in 4K. They're very 480i, maybe some scan lines need to be thrown in here for some effect. But overall, like, it's so fun. It's so fun, and you got to give it up to you got to give it up to Machine Games. I'm replaying Wolfenstein because I started playing Wolfenstein because Indiana Jones is coming out, and I'm like, I want to refamiliarize myself with Machine Games storytelling and maybe some of the mechanics that Indy might be using, because Indy's first person, and I know you're not going to be dual wielding assault rifles murdering Nazis, but like, still a first person game, and it's a story told from the first person perspective, and I still want to see what they're going to kind of lean into, which ways they kind of lean into. And so it turns out Wolfenstein The New Order still real good. Still real good, to the point where, like, after I finish The New Order, I think I'm going to go right into the Old Blood and New Colossus again, and the new because I played the new Colossus when it came to Switch, right? We talked about it on the show at
Yes.
some point, and but I never played the DLC because it didn't come to Switch. And so I, when that alternate history collection was on sale on Xbox for like $12, and it had both games and all the DLC for both games for literally
Yeah.
$11.99 or something, I was like, I'll buy this for $12. I don't care if I never play it. Uh, but I never played the DLC for 2, so I think I'm gonna go into that. I'm in chapter 12, and there's 16 chapters. It looks like.
Hmm.
So I'm almost done. But yeah, it's an amazing first person shooter. I highly recommend, if you have something that will play this game, play it. It's cheap. It's always cheap. It's
Yeah.
always like $5. Uh, I've also been playing a little bit of Destiny 2. I mean, it is what it is at this point. Waiting for Act 3 to start. The Solstice stuff has been announced, and the armor actually looks really cool. The um, Star Traveler kind of armor looks really cool that they
I
released
know.
for Solstice.
I know. Push Square said that there's going to be an event telling on the future of Destiny
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, but there always
this
is.
content and stuff.
There always is in August. Um, so the big thing is like, what are they going to do for the 10th anniversary of the game? Because you know, obviously, the studio at least is in a negative place right now in terms of all the layoffs and kind of how the studio
Yeah.
has been positioned by leadership. But the game, I think, as it stands, is actually in a pretty great place, in my opinion. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of in-game activities. The story is really interesting. We got a really awesome ending to Act 2. Like, we know, I mean, we knew for a while who who the conductor was, but they finally like did the grand reveal like nobody knew, and it was really cool.
Hmm.
The conductor is Maya Sundaresh, which is a character we've been hearing about since, well, I've been hearing about her for a while, but like really the first hints at her kind of coming back into the story was through some transmissions in Lightfall. Cade used to be her bodyguard. Micah 10, which is another character involved in the story right now, is
Hmm.
kind of involved with Maya Sundaresh at one point or another. And so it's really interesting to see what this character is doing. And I'm excited for Act 3 to roll around. I really want to know how the story ends. And the story is rolling out in a way that it's allowing a person who's busy and wants to play other games to experience the story at their own pace. It's not this big, like, because with seasons they would draw the story out for like 10 weeks, and you had to
Yeah.
be in the game and like grinding and doing all these things, and you can still do that, right? But like, they're releasing the story. Each story has three, each act has 3 parts released over the course of 3 weeks, and they're like 3 or 4 missions a piece. You can get in, you can get out, you can get the story. If you want to keep doing the battlegrounds or the in-game stuff, you can, but like, getting through the story is like, this is what I wanted from Destiny for so long, and they're finally doing it. And I know the community is kind of like pissed about it because they want to like, well, we want like a 40-hour campaign, but don't I don't know, man. Destiny community sometimes really bugs me, but the way they're doing it right now with episodes is like, for the way that I play the game currently in my current life and the amount of stuff that we do here, the game is in a great place for someone like me. And it seems like the game is going to continue in that trajectory for better or for
Yeah.
worse. But I'm excited for Act 3 to roll around. I'm really excited to see how this ends. And then the next episode, Revenant, is about vampire hunting, which is really cool. So, yeah. There's a beeping in my house and I don't know what it is. But also, there's a couple games on the dock that I don't have written down. I did play some games with my kids. My son specifically, we played some Mario Kart. He likes it. He gets kind of frustrated a little bit because he's 3 and it's Mario Kart. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, but I want to give a shout out to a game, Ed, that you're not gonna believe this when I say it. My son is obsessed with Paw Patrol. Okay.
Okay.
And so we played a game called on Game Pass called Paw Patrol Mighty Pups Save Adventure Bay.
Okay.
And I have to give it credit for actually being a viable kids video game that actually teaches you how to play video games. It is
Interesting.
a really great my first video game style game. It has enough tutorial, all voiced, by the way, all voiced, enough tutorial to, you know, tell you how to move through a 3D space. There's no right stick camera. It's all kind of like a pulled back kind of camera. And if you turn around,
Mm.
the camera turns around with you. You know, there's a lot of collectibles. You can't die. Like, there's just a lot of great stuff to this game that appeals. That would, if you're trying to get a kid to learn how to play a 3D game, even if they're not
Yes.
into Paw Patrol, this is a really great starter game. And I actually recommend it. Now, granted, I ended up playing like half the time because my son just wants to watch me play it.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I have 350 achievement points in this Paw Patrol game on Xbox. But I have to give it credit because there are really cool mini games. Like, there's a snow plowing mini game that my son loves to play. There's a flying mini game that my son loves to play, which is, I'm going to spoil it. It's literally the same as the snow plowing. It's just you're flying instead of plowing snow. Because there's 3 lanes, right? And you have to like
Yeah.
collect the dog. You have to collect the dog bones without running into the big balloon that looks like a bomb, right? And so there's 3 lanes, and you just kind of press right or left depending on, you know, where the dog bones are without running into the balloons, right? So,
Yes.
or the rocks or the logs or whatever's in your way, right? It's one of those things. But they also teach you like okay, so the first level, there's like a meteor that hits the beach, and you have to use one of the dog's powers to pull the meteor out of the sand, right? And so it teaches you like, okay, rotate the stick this way, you know. And then it has like one of those meters where like the entire meter is red but this little section is green, and it's like press the A button in the green spot, and like, you know, the little kind of thing goes across and you have to press A, you know, and you can't fail, right? Like, if you hit it in the red, it'll just start over, you know.
Yeah.
And then there's some like, oh, use, you know, press down and A to do this, press up and Y to do this. And it's like, I'm shocked. Whoever put this game together, I don't know who the developer is. I didn't look it up. I should have. But shout out to that game, for real. It's a pretty decent game. Granted, would I have played it by myself? No, never. But you know, my son likes it, and all the dogs have different abilities that you have to use throughout the levels to, you know, clear paths or
Yeah.
find hints or whatever. So pretty interesting. I was not prepared to talk about that on 2 podcasts this week, but here we are. Here we are. That's it. That's all I've been playing. Sorry that took so long, but yeah.
All right. So for me, I've been playing more of the Ascent on Xbox, and was playing with Streets of Rage 4 on Switch. I beat 2 games today.
What?
Um,
No, you didn't.
yes. Yes. So I started up Castle Crashers Remaster a couple of days ago.
Mm.
and I just finished it today. Now, I have played Castle Crashers, and I got to a point where I was fighting this king, and just couldn't beat it because I wasn't leveled up. So I'm just like, I could come back to this game a little. It's a beat 'em up from the guys who made Alien Hominid and
Mm-hmm.
everything. But like people who seen it, uh, who's seen their work and stuff, like they're gonna be at PAX also. People who know who they are, like seen them, seeing their games. So, um, I in this new ground, everybody. So I started playing it again and started grinding a character up, and I got all of their strength up, and then I started working on their defense. And so with more defense and health, I was able to survive more. But because my strength was up, I was able to get through a lot of bosses and a lot of enemies uh faster. So there was a risk and a reward. And so today I just ended up beating the game. It does get a little bit challenging in the end, and the final boss has about like 4 phases to fight her. And I'm like, oh, not this again. So, but I grinded a little bit more, bought some potions, and just ended up being the game. It was really funny, um, and everything. So, like, if people who like go into this game, expect that you're going to be doing some grinding because it is like a beat 'em up role playing game and stuff. But it's not too hard, um, and everything. And so, if you got some friends and you guys want to play online, I kind of suggest playing it online with friends. It might help get through some of the game a little bit quicker. But I definitely enjoyed it. Um, the last game that I want to talk about, I play is As Dusk Fall. It's 6 episodes to the game. You actually could finish the game in a day, or in a weekend. It's about 5-6 hours, um, and everything, depending on the decisions that you make and how you get through everything with the quick time events. And I gotta say I did enjoy the story for this. The voice acting and performances were really good. They do some of the flashback that meets um with the current and everything, and then they start doing some of the past, jumping into the future with it. Uh, and so it really gets into like a Life is Strange 2 feel when you get to like episode 2, with those 3 chapters. And it's kind of weird, it's kind of weird in the fact that the way that things play out really feel like it's a part of like Life is Strange. I'm like, I feel like I've done this before. I feel like um the choices I made is kind of the same, and so I was just like, oh, okay, I guess. To let everybody know what As Dusk Fall is about, it's about 2 families. In this game, it's the Hawks, and it's this character named Zoe, um, and that you play as, and Zoe, her mom Michelle, and uh the dad, I think it's Vinny is the dad's name. They are no, Vince, I'm sorry. um they are on a road trip to St. Louis, like they're moving to St. Louis. um but they get hit, and by one of the Hawks family members, which is 3 brothers. So some oil drops, and they're kind of stranded, but they see this motel. So they walk to this motel, and uh they go in thinking that everything is okay, but then they get hit with these robbers, with the Hulk boys, and everything. And then it starts going in the past, telling this story on what led to its current situation. So the first episode is making the choices that they did at the motel, and then when you get to episode 2, it follows what happens after, um, after it. And I didn't I didn't really expect some of the story that they was gonna go with this game because of the characters you meet and you interact with. Um, it was kind of weird. Like I said, it's kind of like very Life is Strange when you get to episode 2. But like the first episode, when you're in the motel, you get a lot of good narrative from it, and so you really are focusing on Vince in the first kind of like in the first episode, and then you get to Jay and Zoe. Jay is one of the Hulk boys um that you are going to be playing in the second episode, and then you get to like Zoe and stuff. And it was a really good game. I definitely would just say that I I want to go back and I want to make bad decisions to
Mhm.
see what turns out,
Mhm.
because there are people who can die, and I think there are people that you could like straight kill off, um and I think you could get a very very bad ending in the end.
Mhm.
um and there is a cliffhanging ending, um and I kind of wonder why a part 2 didn't come out for this game, because this game was published by Xbox Game Studios, so it is a first party game, and
Mhm.
it did come out on PlayStation 4 also, with it. So if you got like Game Pass, um I say it's worth a go if you want a narrative experience. um it doesn't feel so much like a Quantic Dream game and stuff. Um, so I it was a really good game. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I just want to go back and make different choices. And there are times that you could not say anything as a choice, and or you could just like let the timer run, fail the quick time events, and actually see how things play out.
Hmm.
So
Nice.
yeah. Well, a lot of people told me that I was going to enjoy it, and I did. I definitely did. I think it was a good time for me to play this game than when it came out, because it was just I remember you saying it was a kind of a short experience.
If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.
Well, everybody, it's time for FamiNEWS. Corey, take it away.
All right. Well, not really a lot of big news stories this week, but we're going to kick things off with Nintendo Switch. It has officially sold 143 million units. It is approaching that magical PlayStation 2 number. It's 11 million behind the DS. And it might reach it, although sales of the system are down quite a bit year over year. But I mean, the market is saturated at this point. I think
Yeah,
I think if they did a price drop, which I think they will soon, if you can get that Switch Lite to $99, man, like that would do
that
it.
would definitely help it. Yeah.
But But yeah, I mean, it's getting there. So how do you feel about this?
I I think when I said definitely this is great news to hear.
Mm-hmm.
With 143, I think they're gonna get more sales of their special editions. Once a lot of games start coming out, I think we're going to get more sales. Definitely,
Mm-hmm.
if they do like a Dragon Quest 3 HD kind of Nintendo Switch and stuff, that would definitely do sales in Japan.
I mean, I wonder if they would do that if they like release like a trilogy one,
Mm-hmm.
like for 300, and you got all three games and a Switch Lite with, like a blue slime Switch Lite.
Oh yeah.
You know, uh,
Yes.
so according to Wikipedia, the DS has sold 154 million units, and the magic number for PS2 is 158 million. Those numbers were reported in just this month for PS2, and I'm so 15 million units is not a lot to of ground to make up for with this system.
Yes.
Especially if you keep releasing like special editions, like when I expect sales to spike when the Zelda one comes out. I expect sales to spike over the holiday. I bet it passes PS2 in 2 years. It also depends on when the new console comes out too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so I've been I've been thinking about getting another Switch Lite. I want the yellow one, but I don't need it. I already have one. It's blue. It's right
Yes.
over there. I still want one. So I mean, I'm part of the problem, I guess. I've purchased 3, so and I know people who have bought us, a launch day Switch and then upgraded to the OLED, and yeah. So I don't know. People like us are what's moving these units. I'm telling you that Zelda one's going to sell quite a bit of units, and it's still for pre-order at Best Buy.
So, oh, nice.
If you're still looking for it. I thought about it, but I was like, nope, going to PAX.
Yeah,
I guess seeing my friends and talking to developers is better than buying another console that I already have 3 of.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And the crazy thing about that is, dang shoot, I still got to get another memory card for my Zelda one that I haven't even opened up yet.
Yeah.
So.
All right, our next story comes from IGN via the THQ Nordic showcase, which I had no idea happened until after it was done. I was actually looking at
last
Xbox.
week.
I was actually looking at Xbox Wire and saw that this happened. So, whoops. A new Darksiders game has been revealed, untitled. The trailer is just that cavern with those 3 fiery heads, right? And at the end, they one of them yells "Horseman." So yeah, the Charred council, whatever. I like Darksiders. I'm excited for a new one. I'm wondering if this is that rumored multiplayer game that they've been talking about for a decade at this point, because we have a game for all 4 horsemen now. It's so funny. I'm hearing people talk about this and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna finally get a Strife game." I'm like, did everybody forget that Genesis existed from Airship Syndicate?
Because the thing with Strife is that it was planned. The plan is for them to have their own game, and all of them are supposed to be happening at the same time,
right?
So because my thing is, when war was happening, and he got loose, what's her name supposed to be happening?
Fury.
When death is supposed to be, Fury? Yeah. Because the war and Fury is supposed to be happening on the same planet.
Well, that's all happening on Earth. So
besides death is happening somewhere else.
Where is it? On a different planet?
Yeah,
No,
because
it's the
Death is
four
not because
horsemen.
Death
It's
is
the four horsemen of the apocalypse. It's it's Earth. They're on Earth.
right, right. But what happens? That's why this is a such a weird story because of how the games is going. Of course, you're supposed to have the comics, but at the end of Darksiders, all three of them are coming to him.
Mm-hmm.
But Fury had already been on the same planet with War because War was, and War was jailed, but he got free and started doing his adventure.
Mm-hmm.
So War and Fury supposed to be happening at the same time. Death is supposed to be also happening at the same time, but
Well,
he's not on Earth. He's somewhere else.
death happens while War is imprisoned, right? That's when death happens. Because War is imprisoned for a while, right?
Yeah.
So, man, it's been so long since I played Darksiders 1 and 2, but I'm pretty sure, man, Darksiders 2, there's no place for a horse. I love Darksiders 2. Yeah.
Game I need to beat.
I don't remember what I was gonna say, but my point was, like, I wonder if this is the multiplayer game because Remnant was so successful, and this is the studio that did Remnant and Remnant 2, right? This is Gunfire Games. They also did their first game was also Darksiders 3.
The first game, I thought the first game is Darksiders.
Their first game was Darksiders 3. So what happened was Darksiders 1 and 2 were done by Vigil, run by Joe Mads. Right. And so when and they were owned by THQ, the original THQ.
Right.
Then THQ had the fire sale. Embracer bought Darksiders and THQ closed Vigil. But the team at Vigil split into two teams. One went to Joe Mads, and part of the team went to Airship Syndicate, and they did like Battle Chasers, and they did the Riot League of Legends game, one of the League of Legends games, and then they did Darksiders Genesis, and then the other part of the team went to Gunfire Games. And
see, I thought Vigil turned into Gunfire because
they split. Vigil closed, but the teams kind of stayed together and split in half or whatever. I don't know how big each team is. I'm assuming Gunfire Games is bigger than Airship Syndicate based on the types of games that they make, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Gunfire Games since Darksiders 3 has created two. I mean, Darksiders 3 was okay. I would say Remnant from the Ashes was good. Remnant 2 is considered amazing. And so I wonder if they could apply what they learned from Remnant 2 to Darksiders. And I wonder if this is I wonder if this is the multiplayer Darksiders game they've been wanting to make since the beginning. Right? Because Joe Mads was like, hey, we want to make one game for each of the horsemen. It was very ambitious. We want to make an origin story or a story for each of the horsemen, and then we want to bring them all together in a multiplayer game at the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a game for each of the horsemen now. If you Genesis is Strife's game, which it is, right? If you play multiplayer, someone plays as War, but it's Strife's game. Now this is the multiplayer game. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I mean, I really don't care if it is or not, but it would be really interesting since that seems to be what Gunfire is good at.
Yeah. Because I know that they said that all four games are happening at the same time. That's all I remember. Well, and so
I don't,
and that's why
I don't know. I think Strife's game is a prequel to 1 because you could War can't be on his own adventure if he's fighting with Strife in that game.
Strife. Yeah, so I wonder if they changed plans.
I mean, they probably did because the studio died and THQ died. So,
yes.
I mean, they probably did something, right? So,
and the reason I said Gunfire Games, because of the art style, the way that it looks, it looks like Darksiders. So I'm thinking Vigil had turned into Gunfire Games when THQ came back.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that they split and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
such a weird series. It's the crazy thing is it's still more understandable than the Kingdom Hearts series.
See, I don't think I'm not. We'll talk about Kingdom Hearts on another time. I don't think Kingdom Hearts is that outrageous. But anyways, yeah, you can actually get the whole series on Amazon right now for under $100, all 4 games. Okay, if you're interested.
For what system?
Switch.
Oh, Switch.
Yeah. I forgot they were all on Switch. I forgot that Darksiders 3 came to Switch.
I remember that because it came like I think 6 months or a year after.
Oh, it was way after that. It was like 2 years.
Oh, I thought it was like a couple.
Because they were selling the collection. It came to Switch after Genesis, so whenever that was, because I remember they were selling the collection of 1, 2, 3, and 3's DLC on Xbox for like $15, and then they were turning around and trying to sell Darksiders 3 on Switch with no DLC for $60, and people were like, no. Darksiders isn't that type of a series. And then it quickly,
because I knew the remaster of the first one was on Switch.
Yeah, they're all on Switch. So physically, they're all on Switch. Also, if you are a physical collector, I like Darksiders. I think in my opinion, 2 is the best one. People either fall into the 1 camp or the 2 camp. I'm a 2er.
I think I fall under the 1 camp. And I'm not saying Darksiders 2 is bad, because like I said, that's one I need to finish. Yeah. I actually needed to finish Genesis 2. Those are 2 ones I need to finish, because 1 and 3 I did.
Yeah, so 1 is more like the old school God of War games with Zelda dungeons and puzzles, and then 2 is more like it still has that energy, right? But like it has a loot system similar to Diablo, and it's a loot game, and that kind of turned a lot of people off from it. So pick what you will.
That one was just too much for that one.
Great games though, except for Genesis. Genesis is not very good, unless you like twin stick shooters, and it's mediocre at best.
Getting through Darksiders 3 was goodness, that game.
That game is weird. 3 is weird. I will say that. I hope they do not go that route for whatever this
ever again. Don't do a Souls game ever again.
You know what 3rd game is great though, Ed? Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Yes.
Monolith Soft is hiring for a new RPG, Ed. This comes from Nintendo Everything. I'm going to read the Nintendo Life article, though, because it is shorter. Much, much shorter. Monolith is hiring for a, quote, new RPG. In a post via the studio's official website, founder and CCO and executive director Tetsuya Takahashi put a call out for a total of 8 roles at the company, including a 2D designer, a 3D designer, an environment engineer, and more. So I was going through and reorganizing a lot of our assets, just like from past episodes and thumbnails and all this stuff this week. I've been kind of reorganizing everything to make sure everything is updated, and kind of organized and all that stuff. And when I put the story in, I was like, oh yeah, we did it. We did an old expansion pass on an RPG that they were working on, and they have key art for it. And we actually did like 3 episodes on this at one point, where they had a fantastical RPG. They had one that was aimed at more of a mature audience, in the works, and then we never really heard anything about it again because clearly they were working on Zelda and Xenoblade, right?
Right, and I think that was a time that I was like, I would say I was in denial with that one. Was it because I thought their focus was on their new RPG, and then they was going to drop Xenoblade Chronicles 3. But it seems that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 got announced before this new RPG because of the way that things were revealed, that they had a new RPG, like a new IP that they were working on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so they're doing it. They're making a new RPG. Will it be Xenoblade? I would assume. Here's the thing. I know they said if they're going to do another Xenoblade game, it would have to be different than what they've been doing, right? Which,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I would bet that it is. I would bet that it's a Xenoblade game. I bet it has at least Xeno in the title, judging by their track record. But I don't know. I would be interested to see something new from them. But if it's just going to be like a anime kind of JRPG
Mm-hmm.
with kind of an active-ish battle system, you might as well just make a Xenoblade game. But I'm interested. I'm always interested to see what Monolith is doing. Xenoblade, sadly, on my list of things that I need to play. I love the series, and yet I have never beaten the games, and I have not played 3 yet. So I need to do that. I need to do that, Ed. I'm not even a real Nintendo fan. Ugh.
I need to beat 2, and I need to beat 1 on Switch, and the DLCs. I need to beat.
I'm gonna get there. So I have 2 months off from book club, so I will probably start my trek through that after Ocarina, because it's spooky season and Dead Space is one. You might be on the other one though, because it might be Emio. The Smiling Man might be the October book club.
Yes, and that's the one I got it. And the thing about it, I can't get that one till I get back from PAX.
Vote on Patreon at the $3 level or higher.
Yes, because me, if we're at the Airbnb and get my Switch online at the house, then I'll be like, okay, I could buy it. But I'm like,
why don't you get it physically? I'm shocked you're not going to get it physically.
That's the plan, is to get it physical. I kind of want it digital so I can have all 3 games, but I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be physical. I gotta get. I can't pre-order it because I'm not gonna be here to pick it up when it drops. So I think when I get back from PAX, I'm going to pre-order it. Unless there's a Target across the street from us, and I'll be like, well, let's go run in. Well, Nintendo is also going to be at PAX West.
Yeah,
so
I wonder if they're going to bring things to sell there. I would imagine they're going to have that there, right? And maybe I guess Nintendo World Championships is the other game, but I would assume they have something there, right?
Yeah, I hope so. Because I'm just like, with them being there, I'll be like, this is the time when to get the game. Like, oh, y'all selling y'all new game? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So looking out for a new game from Monolith
Soft. Yeah. I could literally say Monolith Soft is very important to Nintendo now, in a sense of developers. Like Monolith Soft, the Splatoon team, the Zelda team, like it really feels like those games are really those developers, I should say, are really important. Like Kobe Tecmo is literally important to Nintendo, definitely with the Fire Emblem series. Not to say that the intelligence system isn't important or anything, but I think they have been doing the Fire Emblem series so much. I think they're ready to do different stuff, or at least have that chance to do different stuff.
Yeah. So look out for that, I guess, in the coming years or so. We'll see.
Yeah.
Zelda. There's a new one coming out, Ed. Have you heard about this? Have you seen
Yes.
this? Have you heard about this?
Echoes
There's
of wisdom.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's a new trailer that kind of discussed traversing Hyrule, Zelda having looks like new outfits, riding a horse, all these other kinds of cool things. So really playing into the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom stuff, it seems, in terms of like creativity and the way that outfits work and that kind of thing. We do know that Link is playable though, so wonder how that's going to work. But it's so far it looks really interesting, including smoothie making. Ed, smoothie
Yes.
making. What is that all about?
I would say some Breath of the Wild crafting,
Hmm.
uh, with new powers and stuff. Um, I will say this. I think they dropped this trailer to get ahead of the for the game so people could know what they're going to be getting into because there's no Nintendo Direct.
Mm-hmm.
There's no they're not going to be at um they're not going to be at any kind of conference besides like PAX West. Is my assumption by the time the game comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So like Tokyo Game Show, I don't think they're going to be there. So I think to get people, a heads up, this is the breakdown in this trailer of places that you're going to go, new gameplay functions that you'll inquire and stuff like you'll be able to make like the smoothie one, like making drinks and stuff like that. That's kind of cool for it. And this is a different kind of version of Hyrule that you guys would be in and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So it's really interesting to see that they how they did this breakdown because I was looking at it and it's just showed like most of everything you do is through the Y button. Like there is no extra buttons at this time that I know of that you'll be able to do stuff until you get the game and to start teaching you. But like most like the bed stuff, it was like in the circle where the Y button to press the Y button and the bed comes out and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like it's not going to be too difficult on attacking and solving puzzles and stuff. Now with the boss fights, we haven't seen no boss fights, and that's going to be the interesting part in this game.
Yeah. Well, guess we'll see. I'm interested to see how these mechanics work. And
And I'm glad they got side quests in this game that you can now you can select the side quests. I'm like, oh yes,
yeah,
thank you.
having a quest list is something that was deeply missed in the Link's Awakening remake.
Yes,
But Link's Awakening is yeah. Ed,
yes,
a Project Dolphin, the GameCube prototype, showed up on social media this week. It's exactly what you think it is. It is a purple square box that kind of looks like a GameCube, but
mm-hmm.
has obviously different. It looks really different and weird. It's interesting. It's I don't know. Like, so this tweet is from Console Variations. We have detailed pictures of one of the first physical GameCubes ever made. It was called Nintendo Dolphin. This GameCube is so rare that we are not allowed to upload it on the internet until now. More pictures soon. They haven't posted more pictures yet, but it's a rare prototype of the GameCube, and it's purple. So
Yeah, because
interesting.
I knew at the last minute they said that's when they changed it to GameCube. It was like a last minute decision
Mm-hmm.
to change it,
Yeah,
change the name.
yeah.
So
So I thought that was interesting. I don't really have anything else to say.
me neither.
But that's where the emulator name came from, is this prototype. So case you guys are wondering, the GameCube and Wii emulator that's been out. Not that we endorse emulators, but just, I know everybody knows what Dolphin is, so I'm not gonna like sit here and pretend it doesn't exist. All right, Ed, the last story here. Nothing really big, but Doom and Doom 2 are getting definitive editions, and they are both coming to Nintendo Switch. They are they've been on Switch for a while, but this is a package that will include Doom 2, and a bunch of the expansions and master levels for Doom 2, Legacy of Rust, which is a new episode created in collaboration with id Software, Night Dive Studios, and Machine Games, and a new Deathmatch map pack featuring 25 maps. Altogether, there are a total of 187 mission maps and 43 deathmatch maps in Doom 1 and 2 remastered. Online cross-platform deathmatch and co-op for up to 16 players. In-game mod browser. There's all kinds of features, upgraded visuals, modern controller support, all that kind of stuff. So the Switch version has gyroscopic aiming too, if that's worth noting, because I know people.
Surprised they didn't add Doom 3 to it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but also,
Doom 3 is not a good game. Trust me, everybody.
I know on Steam, I think if you own these games already, you get this upgrade for free, I think, somewhere in there. So
okay,
I don't know. It's neat. I don't know if that is also coming to the Switch version, but even if it's not, it's $10 for all of this.
That's not a bad price,
which is a great deal. So it's pretty cool, pretty neat. That's it. I don't have anything else to say. That's just I can't believe this almost 40-year-old game is still getting, I mean, Machine Games though was making maps for Quake and Quake 2, those remasters. They did the Quake remasters too. So interesting that they're keeping these games going. That's it. That's it for news, Ed. That's it for the news.
All right.
Yeah. It's time for the topic of the week, the banter of the week, if you will, Ed. So the banter of the week is Miss Traditional Zelda Dungeons, Try Dungeons of Hindenburg by Boss Rush contributor Kyle Frazier. We're not going to talk about Dungeons of Hindenburg specifically, but I do want to talk about Zelda Dungeons, specifically, the traditional ones. Even though Tears of the Kingdom had some pretty decent ones, right? Like the Fire Temple and the Wind Temple were really cool. Getting to the Wind Temple was cool.
Yeah.
It had some pretty awesome dungeons. But there's nothing like a traditional Zelda dungeon. Like Twilight Princess sticks out in my head as having the best Zelda dungeons, in my opinion. Wind Waker had some pretty cool dungeons. Ocarina, obviously, hit or miss depending on which dungeons you're doing in that game. Like some of them are great. Some of them, I know people hate the Water Temple, which I don't remember the Water Temple in Ocarina at all. I don't remember ever having a problem with that, but
yeah, the Water Temple is when you're like in the animal, you got to hit the tonsils and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then for me, the Shadow Temple and the mirror in Ocarina was always, iconic and infamous for me, not knowing you had to go back in time to do the kid stuff. Also, like Majora's Mask. I just remember that last dungeon being like really weird and strange, and even though I really like Majora's Mask, that dungeon was like a lot of the dungeons. That game kind of, now that I'm going back and playing Ocarina, and I'm kind of like I'm toying around with going back to Majora's Mask after this. Like, I've been thinking about Majora's Mask and how small that game feels and how much seemingly was cut from that game. And some of the dungeons feel like there's one dungeon in Majora specifically that felt really rushed. It seemed like it just, some of the dungeons feel either small or unfinished, or they didn't get to do all the, I mean, the game was made in what, a year and a half. So,
Yeah.
But you know, the masks are what make that game, and the trading, and the Fierce Deity mask, and you know, Skull Kid obviously, and the moon, and like that game is, I think that game is great. Again, I haven't played these games in like 20 years, 30 years. I don't know how long it's been. So like going back to Ocarina has really changed, like not changed my opinion, but like it's really making me think about these older Zelda games in a way that I haven't thought about them in a while. You know, because for me, when I think of Zelda dungeons, I think of Twilight Princess, I think of Skyward Sword, and I think of Wind Waker. Those are the games I think of. I don't think of, even though like I played Ocarina, and I played a lot of Majora's Mask, and I finished those games, and I really loved those games when I played them. I don't think of them as quote unquote modern Zeldas. I don't think of the N64 as a modern, or like a, you know, I guess you would call them classic 3D Zeldas now, right? I think of Wind Waker, I think of Twilight Princess, and I think of Skyward Sword as 3D Zeldas.
I think of Ocarina of Time as a, like you said, a classic 3D, somewhat modern Zelda because of it being the first 3D game,
right?
For it. Because when we think of traditional classic Zelda, we're thinking of top down. Aside two is a side scroller Zelda game.
Yeah,
so that's something different.
Speaking of, before you continue,
go ahead.
The reason why I think the reason why I think of Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword and Wind Waker is because they all have been re-released within the last 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And they've been updated and have quality of life changes, and they're in HD. You can play them all on somewhat modern hardware, right? And by modern, I mean you can plug it in with an HDMI. I know the Wii U is, you know, less than stellar in terms of turning it on, but once the game is on, it's fine. But they've all been updated, and you go back to Ocarina and Majora, like even on the 3DS, they still feel dated, you know. And I thought about playing the Ocarina on the 3DS, but I was like, no, it's on NSO. I'll just play it on NSO. I have the N64 controllers that, you know, I have it sitting right there. Like, I'll just play it on N64 and play with the controller. And I can't believe we used to play with the N64 controller, first of all. Oh my gosh, playing that thing. Like, I don't understand how we did that. I don't understand why people thought that. I don't understand why Nintendo thought that was a good idea.
You want to know why? I think because of me adapting to the controller, and you know, of course me and you, both of our hands are different. Like you have bigger hands than me, Corey. So playing the N64 was just, it felt natural to me while still being new. And I think once I broke the controller, like broke in the controller after playing Mario 64 and then going to The Legend of Zelda, it was something, it was just something I think a little bit easier for me to handle. There was something real comfortable with it and everything. Everybody, he's got the N64 controller.
I'm just like the middle feels good, right? For me.
Yeah.
And like, again, I haven't held a Nintendo 64 controller since I was in like maybe 9th grade, right? But like, then you have to hold it like this, right? Because it just, I think it feels weird because we're so used to like the controller being wide, right?
Yes.
And like, I mean, back then we weren't used to that because we were playing with, you know, the NES and Super Nintendo controllers, or a Genesis controller before that, right? And they're just kind of small and have like, you know, 4 buttons on them and whatever. And then this felt huge at the time, and it like playing it this way felt natural at the time because we didn't know any better, right? And we didn't have like a quote unquote standard controller until I would say the DualShock 1 probably standardized that
Mm.
wide form 2-stick kind of controller layout. But like holding the N64 controller like this, your hands are so close together, and my hands are so big that my fingers like they like run into each other on the
Yeah.
controller, and there's and like it's really hard to play with the N64 controller, but I want to have the N64 experience with Ocarina, right? Because I haven't I haven't had that experience in a long time, and I bought these stupid controllers for a reason. So and I don't want to hold it like this, because who holds an N64 controller like this?
Right.
Or I can do what my cousin used to do and hold it like this, and put her hand up like this and move it like this, and use her pinky with
Ooh.
for the Z button. And I'm like, how are you playing like that? Um,
Oh no.
but yeah, when I was playing through the Great Deku Tree dungeon, and like I'm just like, oh man, this is like so. At the time, I remember like it feeling so revolutionary and large scale, and like these puzzles are so hard and weird, and like now you go through and you're like, oh, light these torches and the door opens, or shoot the eye with an arrow, and the slingshot, and it does this, or uh it's like very simple at this point. um so I don't know, I just I'm seeing the evolution into the dungeons that I think about in real time, I guess, now that I'm
Hmm.
going back to it. And
It, and I think for me, like I definitely always go to Link to the Past first,
mhm.
because the one dungeon that stands out is in the Dark World, and I always talk about well, you guys can watch our playthrough. It's on Boss Rush, uh, on our YouTube page. That you take this princess that was captured and you take her upstairs and into the light, and she turns out to be the boss that you have to fight. Um, Back when that game came out, I did not expect anything of it, because I kept trying to take the princess outside, and I thought that was going to be the thing. I was like, oh no, like there was just so many elements to that dungeon. I'm like, oh, okay. So when I figured it out, I'm like, oh wow. Now I understand why it is. Like it was so revealing. Like it was such an awesome thing. And I'm just like, oh, the Zelda team, Miyamoto and them really thought this out. They really were just like, we're going to play around with different ideas. And we know that once you get the um your special weapon, or special item, these puzzles are going to reflect that. So it's not only going to make you think, but it's going to help you actually get through it. And that one always stands out to me with A Link to the Past. um I I should, what, I might just do Ocarina of Time along with you, Corey, and just restart that from the beginning and go through that, because there's a lot that I need to remember. But it's the Deku Tree boss fight with that spider and that eye just opening,
Mhm.
and it was something amazing, because I played it when it first came out also.
Well,
Oh, go ahead.
it's awfully cinematic for the time, right? I mean, like you go in
Yeah.
there and like Link's looking around, right? And then you hear like the clicking and whatever, and then you look up and like it's super dark except for the eye, right? Like you said, and the eye
Right.
just opens and stares at you, and then it drops down, and then you hear the music, and it's like roaring from the mouth that it doesn't have, right? Uh, and then you go into the fight, and it's really, you know, it's something. I mean, there wasn't really a lot like it at the time, right? I mean, like I think the closest you could look at would be something like Final Fantasy VII at the time, or
Hmm.
uh, I mean, Rare was doing some interesting cinematic things at the time, like I mean Banjo and 007 and stuff like that, but like nothing on the level of what Zelda was doing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think the only comparable thing would have been Final Fantasy VII at the time in terms of cinematic presentation, you know?
Yeah, and it's been so long that I've been through the Ocarina of Time dungeons that I'm like, I think I need to play it so I can refresh my memory. Um, Wind Waker, it's just like for a lot of those dungeons, having a companion, um, and was something definitely new. The dungeon, I think it's the first dungeon when you're on the island and the dragon that you gotta free is his tail is stuck and you got your grapple hook and you're swinging and that's a boss fight
Mm-hmm.
and everything like that was really cool. Like just certain elements. You know, one of my favorite dungeons is when you gotta fight the ghost. The mask, the pig mask, and you're fighting him. You're bombing to get the light shine on him, and not bombing him. I'm sorry. You're using the mirror to get the light shine on him, and then when you actually light him up and you find him, he appears, and then like he runs, and you gotta hit him. You get your glove on, you bow him into some spikes, and then you start literally attacking all of these little ghosts. And it's such a funny fight, but the dungeon is so cool leading up to that. And I understand that like there was only 5 dungeons in Wind Waker, but there was so much that went into each of those dungeons. You know, each of those presentation of the dungeon, and it was just like, man, this is so good. You know, of course, one another of my favorite is the sand dungeon in Twilight Princess.
Mm.
When you're going through the wall with the spinner and fighting that dragon, like
Yeah, the
that's
spinner is cool.
amazing.
Yeah, that was cool.
And so definitely like the construction one when you get the metal boots and you're upside down carrying you. I think that was like the first or second dungeon. I think it's the second dungeon. You getting the soup and stuff in the house, it like the ice house, like that was amazing. And it's always something about Zelda dungeons that always feel different and innovative, even though um they kind of, you know, they have an element to them that you find common, or I should say theme that you find common in each of the Zelda games. And I think that's what I love about the traditional Zelda games. So when Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom comes out and we get these puzzle kind of elements to it, it was something definitely new. Because I know people were just like, well, you know, they were tired of traditional dungeons. They want something different, and so with this open world in all of these different places in this version of Hyrule, it really showed that people miss the traditional dungeons
Mm-hmm.
because they've been so used to them and how creative they were. And I'm not even like the handheld ones and stuff like Link Between Worlds, like those dungeons are good, which was something new because you could get all the weapons at the beginning if you have enough rubies and go to any dungeon that you want. And it really showed people like, oh, okay, you're gonna go to this dungeon, well, prepare yourself, make sure that you got the right stuff, and do understand if you die, you lose this item and you gotta go back
Mm-hmm.
and to rent it again. So, you know, it like they kept doing something different with the Zelda games and with the dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
So like I do love traditional dungeons. Um we mentioned Darksiders earlier. A lot of those you know, yes, the combat is very God of War with it, but the places that you go to fight these bosses and get the hearts and stuff, like that's very as a Zelda dungeon. And you know, they're not afraid to admit it. Like this is an action adventure game. So it's designed in that way. And if you're gonna do any kind of dungeon, you're gonna learn from the best, and you're gonna play like a Zelda game and get an idea
Mm-hmm.
for it. You know, Um, so yeah, like
Yeah.
what more is there to say? And I know the game, the Dungeons of Hinsenburg. I think it's on Series X, but I haven't picked it up yet. I haven't given it a try, but it's getting good reviews. It's getting good talks, and people are enjoying it and everything.
Yeah. I'm glad people are enjoying it. I actually tried to play it, and there's this like large square something on the screen that I just can't get off. It's like it looks like some sort of photo mode that's in the game,
Mm-hmm.
but like it won't turn off, and it won't like let me play. It won't just like turn off so I can play the game. So I don't know. I tried deleting it and deleting the cache save and the online in the cloud save and re-downloading it. It just keeps coming back. So I don't know what's going on. So I just stopped trying to play it. So I had some issues with it, but everybody else that's played it, I know Pat's been playing it. I know Pat really likes it. So yeah, I just had some weird bug that just won't let me play the game. So but I think I'm glad people are enjoying it. I think it's I've heard nothing but great things, and I was actually really excited to play it. So,
Yeah,
we'll get there. But
and I will say before we go, one of the best water dungeons, I think it's the Twilight Princess water dungeon.
Oh yeah, the one with the slides.
I enjoy. Yeah, that one I do. I know it's a lot of back and forth, but I think I enjoyed that one over like Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, it's Twilight Princess is very 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 good. I know people like to complain about it being like, especially like tutorials and stuff, but like I don't. First of all, if you know what you're doing, the tutorial is not 3 hours long like the internet says it is. Second of all,
Right.
it has the best Zelda dungeons maybe ever, in my opinion, in the 3D space. And so that alone, it's worth playing. I know people like to complain about the filler, quote unquote, that's in between the dungeons, but
I'm fine with that.
It's called story.
It's the wind dungeon that I think is the least fun one for me. It's Twilight Princess.
Yeah. I like the wind dungeon. That's the forest temple. That's the first one.
No, I'm talking about the last one.
Oh, you're talking about like
dragon.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that one.
Yeah. That one is just like
I thought you were talking about the first one with the boomerang. I'm like,
oh no. No, I like that's the one with the monkeys.
Yeah.
It's Twilight Princess. I like that one. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
You got to get all the monkeys to swing you to the other side. Yeah.
Yeah. So, good times. Zelda.
Yes.
Who knew?
I know we're about to move on. I think that's why I also love Okami for its dungeons and everything. I'm bringing Okami up because they are some really good Zelda inspired dungeons. It's just that I need to replay all of them. I replayed the game again so I can remind myself of those dungeons because they really are cool dungeons and great boss fights.
I wish I liked Okami the way that you did. I've tried several times to play that game, and I can't stand it.
I understand. I may stream it on. I gotta see if do I have it on PS4? Because if I got it on PS4, I think I'm gonna stream it through YouTube. If not, I'll just stream it through Twitch on my Xbox. Because I want to go back. I want to go through Okami again and stuff. Because the ending is bonkers, super bonkers.
Yeah. Well, we did it. We did the topic of the week. Let me get back to the doc here. Let me tell you, Ed, it was really difficult trying to find what games are coming out this week. I tried to turn on my Switch and go to the coming soon section. It's literally a bunch of like weird anime and hentai games that are like, I don't know.
Questionable content.
Yeah. Let's talk about what's coming out this week on 8/14, which is today when you're hearing this. No, it's not. It was yesterday. I don't know. I don't know when these things come out anymore. Sam & Max, The Devil's Playhouse Remastered. The last game in the episodic Sam & Max trilogy, beautifully remastered. As the intergalactic villains who seek the Devil's Toy Box close in and Mac's psychic abilities grow beyond his control, the freelance police will come up against their most frightening adversary yet, the power of Max's mind.
I never understood Sam & Max on Fox Kids. I wonder why that show got canceled.
I don't
like it was such a great, funny show, and then it just ended up getting canceled, probably because of the ratings.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't know. And then on 8/15, Ed, we are getting Grapple Dogs Cosmic Canines, an adventure that has 2 canine grappling hook masters. As a sequel to the beloved Grapple Dogs Cosmic Canines adds a new playable character with an additional tool to achieve their treasure hunting goals and save the world again. But those are the games that are coming out this weekend. So Emio comes out this month, right? While we're at PAX. We just had that discussion.
Yeah. September 29th.
Yeah.
It comes out, or the 30th, I think.
All right, Ed, let's get into question block. Remember, you can look for our thread on Twitter or Discord. Join the Discord. You can look for our Patreon post when we remember to make one. Whoops. Or you can email us the old-fashioned way at nintendopowblock@gmail.com. The One True James via Discord wrote in, what is the best Nintendo-style game not developed by Nintendo? Oh, dang. Best Nintendo-style game.
Well, definitely, like I said, Okami. It definitely is one for me.
Yeah.
Like, it has that that kind of Oki art print, cell shaded. Zelda Dungeons. Amaterasu is a great character. It has great comedy, great writing. Music is fantastic. Like, it really feels like a Nintendo game, but done by Capcom, doing it. That, and I want to say Beautiful Joe also. So I'm gonna have Beautiful Joe.
I was thinking about Beautiful Joe.
By Clover. Love that game.
I'm shocked with all the things that are being remastered that Beautiful Joe 1 and 2 collection is not one of them. They remastered freaking No More Heroes, and you're not going to remaster Beautiful Joe.
Okay.
I digress. I'm going to say something really, not really out there, but like maybe something you wouldn't have thought of, Ed. But first of all, I just want to say Ubisoft made the best Star Fox game with Starlink.
Not gonna lie, 100% agree.
But I'm gonna say the Rayman Origins and Rayman Legends are excellent, colorful, charming platformers, great platformers, challenging platformers that are just as good as the Mario games that are available right now. You know, I think Rayman. I wish Rayman Origins would get some sort of HD update for the Switch. I'm kind of surprised that hasn't gotten something like that. You know, I think a lot of people like to point at Beyond Good and Evil as being a pretty decent Zelda style game, although I don't think there's as many puzzles and it revolves around taking pictures of stuff. But whatever. But I mean, it seems like Ubisoft kind of has a little bit. Well, they used to have a little bit of that Nintendo magic, you know. And obviously, they still work with Nintendo to an extent. We got Mario plus Rabbids and the Star Fox stuff and Starlink, so there's something there. But those, I would say the Rayman games are awesome. I love those games. The Wii U version of Rayman Legends. Let me tell you. When you needed an extra platform, you could just tap the screen.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. It was there. It was in the game. It's not cheating. It's in the game. Just tap the screen if you need a platform.
Let's see. Um. Let's see. What's related to Mario? We got Mario. We got Metroid. I mean, Castlevania Symphony of the Night is Super Metroid, but just with Melee. It's I mean, that's one of the most actually Dinosaur. I was actually watching a video of Castlevania Dinosaur on DS, and was just thinking about that. With it, I'm like, I know, y'all. I know people. No, because Donkey Kong Country, or Donkey Kong Racing,
Ukulele, Impossible
well,
Layers,
yeah,
very tropical freeze, and
yes,
we've. I mean, I think a lot of people want to point to a lot of indie games too. Obviously, right? Like Yacht Club, obviously with Shovel Knight, and Mina looks like a Zelda-esque, Game Boy Color game. I think you could point at Guacamelee and a lot of the Metroidvanias that have come out over the years.
Yeah, is it Fast RMX?
Yeah, Fast RMX is essentially an F-Zero wipeout game.
F-Zero. Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of games out there that, I mean, Nintendo very clearly has inspired an entire generation of developers to make games, whether they're AAA to the indies to anywhere in between. I mean, we were talking about Darksiders earlier. That the first Darksiders game, there's Zelda dungeons in Darksiders.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
like, there's not, like, Splatoon is really hard because, like, there's no other game besides the bubble game that Square released that could play
Foam Stars. How could you forget about Foam Stars, Ed? That classic.
Easy, because but like Splatoon, the Xenos games, Hotel Dust, Leap Beat Ages, like if we're thinking of Nintendo, we got to think of their console stuff and their handheld stuff, because there's nothing like Pushmo or anything. Like, and if there is, show me. Like, there's nothing like Brain Age, and there have been other games that try to be like Brain Age, but you just don't. What if?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm trying to. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say something like, you look at something like Blossom Tales, very clearly linked to the past, inspired. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, Crosscode, Unsighted, Sea of Stars. These are all very, at least of the Super Nintendo era inspired games, not necessarily like Nintendo inspired games, but very inspired by that era, right? I mean, even Sega was trying to do stuff there. I mean, Beyond Oasis is very clearly their Zelda, right?
Yeah.
Man, I would love to revisit that. I'm so fascinated if Sega made a console today. I want to revisit that topic at some point, Ed.
Which one?
Of if Sega made a console today, like an updated version of that.
We got an expansion pass.
I know.
So
I know. So yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot, but it's just I think there's something that I would need to sit down and take the time to write, because Nintendo just has so many IPs and games in those IPs. Trying to find a non-Nintendo game to equal them, like off the top of the dome, yeah, it definitely would take me a while, because one game that, even though it's not Nintendo, but it feels like, this is I always talk about The Last Guardian, and the reason why I say that, because it's so innovative and it's so its own game that's not, even though it's a first party Sony game, it feels like it's something that Nintendo's hands should have been on it. But I'm thankful that it's not on it, and it just feels something fresh and original. Like, it's just like Nintendo couldn't do this, But I bet you if they got their hands on it, they could improve some things and just make it still feel like a Sony first party game.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to point at Astrobot too soon.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people want that to be Sony's Mario at this point. Which, I mean, by all accounts, it looks cute. It looks fun. It looks interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That controller is fun. I really think that controller looks really fun. I really like the Concord controller too, though, even though that game seems to be dead on arrival. I don't know. If I was still into something like Overwatch and Overwatch was not in a place where I wanted it to be, I would check out Concord. I think Concord looks interesting, but also I'm not going to spend $40 on a console I don't play. So, our next question comes from Austin Campbell via Discord. He asks, who would represent the country of Nintendo in the Olympic Games? Which events would be best for different characters? Oh boy.
Okay. So
Link, fencing.
I will say Bayonetta for even though that's not Nintendo, I will say Bayonetta for like the gymnastics because all the flipping she does and everything and how flexible she is.
Yeah. The Splatoon kids for sharpshooting. They're going to be the equivalent of the turkey guy that everybody's memeing.
Oh, with the big friend downstairs.
Man.
I would say ice climbers for any ice events. But that's Winter Olympics. So,
man, I don't even know what's happening in the Olympics these days. Like,
I would say Toad, like for track, for instance, for track and field, so she could just flow over stuff.
I would say Mario for swimming because that's the only game I could think of that has swimming in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Zelda has swimming. Link, but Link has to get the shoes in order to swim, so it's just like and everything. I think the Fire Emblem characters would do fencing, and stuff. I think they would be good at fencing.
I don't even know what Olympic sports are left. Like I don't follow the Olympics at all. Like the only thing I know is like gymnastics and swimming and basketball.
Well, they did breakdancing. Like this was the first time they did a breakdancing competition for US.
The ice climbers should do curling.
Oh my goodness! Yes. Oh my goodness, that'd be funny.
Pit for archery. That's still an Olympic sport, right? Archery.
What would King DDD do in Donkey Kong?
Oh, man, I don't know. I mean, Donkey Kong. The like the ring, the gymnastic rings. I mean,
who would do? I think Donkey Kong probably would do
like gymnastic-y. Like they hang from trees and stuff. They can pull themselves up and do things. I watch monkeys at the zoo.
I mean, who would do like discus, like throwing the disc and stuff?
Oh man, I don't know. Whoever throws the discs in Duck Hunt when you do the clay shooting.
Oh,
Game and Watch off to the side.
Oh wow. Oh my goodness, Game and Watch would be definitely interesting.
Oh man.
I know golf is not an Olympic sport, but if it was, I would. That's where I would place Mario as in golf. Man, goodness, dang! Because we had the Mario versus Sonic at the Olympics.
I know. Did you play any of them? I sure didn't.
I didn't, but my nephew had the Wii one, and that mug. So I think there's like 4 or 5 games.
Yeah. For it. Who knows? Who knows? Who cares?
But the crazy thing about this, those Olympic games really did sell. They did very well.
Yeah.
You know, I think some got like 7s and 8s and stuff, but they weren't bad games or anything.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like Mario Party Light, right, with Sonic and Mario characters together, right?
Mm.
So, all right, Ed, we have one last question via Twitter. Our pal Christian S from Franchise Festival writes
Yes.
in and asks, "What are your favorite and worst game intros? Which one works for you, and which ones didn't?"
Okay.
Man,
Because
favorite.
I'm about to go in. So
I can tell you which intro
my
doesn't work is Destiny's New Light experience is the worst thing on the planet. So
for me, one of the worst game intros is The Last of Us. I hate that whole intro with running with the daughter, and I hate that whole thing in the way that it ends. I think that was the worst. I paused the game and screamed and yelled at that game, and I was just like, I'm about to delete this game. No, like Naughty Dog, did you really do this? I was upset.
mhm,
I went off
mhm.
um
Yeah,
with that. I do like Titanfall 2's intro though. And everything. Like after the tutorial, that one is like really good and stuff. Um,
yeah,
and Mario, Super Mario Brothers 2, when you just open up the door and then you start falling in the dream. That one I liked
yeah.
also.
Man, favorite game
Oh,
intros.
Bayonetta 2's intro.
Oh yeah,
When you get into the uh, uh, like that is so good.
yeah.
Oh, good.
The opening of that game is pretty good.
Pure comedy.
I mean, Tears of the Kingdom's opening is very good. I love Tears of the Kingdom's
Yes.
opening. I love Breath of the Wild's opening. Both those openings
Yes.
they're
Breath of the
iconic
Wild
for two
is
very different reasons. I mean, Breath of the Wild, when
just
you walk out of the cave for the first time, where they
and
basically
that
teach you,
music drop.
they basically teach you how to jump and climb a wall, and then you're out on your own, right? I mean, you're just out. Um,
Just that music and getting to the oh goodness, Breath of the Wild so good.
mhm. I really
Um,
love Tears of the Kingdom's opening too. To be honest, I
mhm.
love the story hook that they give you. Very opposite openings though. uh, let's see. I really like Wind Waker's opening too. I think it's very charming and cute, and
Yeah,
um, I think Link's relationship with his little sister is very cute. Um,
I love the grandma in Wind Waker. Just and when you do the mission to get the soup, oh.
yeah.
Dude, the soup was the savior of that game. If you did not have a fairy, you was gonna have that soup, and
Hmm.
it was gonna save your tail.
Hmm.
Uh,
I I love the Kingdom Hearts openings too because there's always an amazing song.
yes,
I mean, Simple and Clean, Sanctuary, just iconic songs. I I love Kingdom Hearts. I've been thinking about after PAX, like I'm gonna try to plan to stream like 2 nights a week, maybe.
mm.
And I think Kingdom Hearts is gonna be the game that I stream.
I'm installing Kingdom Hearts 3 on my Series X because I'm gonna start that
And I'm gonna play them in
work with that.
release order, everybody. Release order.
Uh, Definitely for me, Detroit Become Human.
Mm.
Oh, that beginning, with you saving a child and stuff, and just that whole part, and actually everybody's intro, like introducing the characters and stuff that you play. All three intros are so strong, and Detroit Become Human. I know people will have a problem with Planet Dreams and some of their design stuff, but man, ever since I seen that trailer, I'm like, I must have that game. And when I started that game and played it all the way through, oh, that just all three of their stories were touching, and it was so good. I'm like, yeah.
Hmm.
So Detroit Become Human is one of my great ones. Um, oh goodness, Uncharted 2
All the trans
intros,
Sonic.
just
It's
yeah.
amazing.
Oh,
I
I like 3. Threes I like,
I
but
don't.
I didn't like
I don't
twos.
remember. I see. I love the opening to Uncharted 2. I don't remember threes at all. Um, Shout out to God of War 2, an amazing opening.
Yeah,
God of War 2, the PS2 game, not Ragnarok. Everybody,
yeah.
man, that opening is so awesome. I love God of War 2. It's a top 10 game of all time for me. Also, God of War 3 is a pretty awesome opening. I would say God of War the 2018 one has a very emotional opening. Uh,
Yeah.
I love the opening to that game. I know I've been not so hot on those games in general, but I love the opening to that game. It's so it's crazy how emotional that game gets, in like how it makes you feel within the first 10 minutes of that game. It's so
Hmm.
just, with Kratos cutting the tree down, and then you see, Atreus kind of, do his thing, and then they walk out and you see the body on the pile of sticks, and just watch like the burn, and then the music and how it builds, and the woman who's singing, I don't remember her name at the moment, but like,
Mm.
chills, man. That opening gives me chills every time I see it, and I don't even like care about the game all that much.
Death's Doors opening is just so good when you just walking in and you see the big. It's Death's Doors opening is so comedic but yet so good. I love that opening to that game, and everything. Um,
Tomb Raider,
Wolfenstein. Oh, oh my goodness!
the new.
Rise of the Tomb Raider. I mean,
I was gonna say 2013, with the shipwreck.
yeah, the shipwreck one, but the ice one, the Chateau, is a good one too. Not gonna actually, I would say the reboot trilogy, all three games intros was really good that I just love.
Yeah, I mean,
And everything.
in Shadow and Lara sets off the apocalypse. Sure, yeah, super.
But it's so action packed and just like, yep, this is
Yeah.
very cinematic. But yeah, the shipwreck one and one.
I love Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I know people don't really care for it, but I love that game. I think it's my favorite one. I love them all, but I think Shadow might be my favorite one.
I think I love Rise. I love Rise over Shadow, but goodness, when Laura comes out and the mood changes from the water with the blood on her and everything.
Yeah,
and
are you talking about the silhouette? It's the silhouette with the fire behind her.
Yes,
in Shadow.
Yes.
Yeah.
When she's coming out, and I was just like, Laura's not playing. She snaps in that mug. That's why and oh goodness, the Series X version of Shadow of the Tomb Raider is drop dead gorgeous. Yeah. It's so beautiful. I'm like, I knew this game was beautiful on Xbox One X and PS4 Pro. Like, it would look good. They did that Series X update. I'm like, this is gorgeous.
Yeah, and that's what, man, I don't want to get into this now, but that's what really frustrates me about Xbox is like their whole smart delivery / updating your games to match the console. Like, it works so well, and it makes me so happy because like I did some testing on a couple games, and maybe we'll save this for expansion pass, I don't know, but like, so I have Assassin's Creed Odyssey on PS4 and Xbox.
Say
the PlayStation 5 does not run a quote unquote next gen version of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It runs the PS4 version with an uncapped frame rate, which is like not 60 like this, like the Series X. It's like it dips a lot. Or like, I think Hellblade has some sort of patch, but not like the Series X version. And I don't know if my PS5 just didn't download the right one or what, but they like games that are multi-platform that have smart delivery, from what I was testing, have they are just drastically different. And it like really upsets me because like Microsoft has the perfect thing and they just what are they doing? Anyways, Other iconic openings. Hellblade 2 has a very awesome opening. Another shipwreck opening.
Oh yes. Oh goodness. But it's done so well though.
I know.
That's the crazy thing.
I love Hellblade 2.
Doom the reboot, that one has a good opening. Of course, Paper Mario, Origami King has a funny opening. Like the Paper Mario games, they take a while for the opening, but they are funny when you're like done with, like before like the first chapter, when you I'll say prologue. Like those are really good for it. DMC Devil May Cry has a good one with the club, and then just seeing different shots. Like Ninja Theory did such a fantastic job with that. Actually, Enslaved has a good opening too. Ninja Theory are really good about their openings and stuff. Hellblade 1. I know we spoke about Hellblade 2, but Hellblade 1 just slowly taking you in on the ship and just hearing that narrative. Like, oh, it's so good. With it. Gears 5 has a great opening. And stuff. Let's see what Nintendo games. I definitely Super Metroid has a good one. Just letting on before you get to Zebus, letting on the scientific ship, and then just going through all the spookiness before you get to what's his name, and everything. Just like that tone was just so good with it.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 7, yeah, that one was good. And definitely Secret of Mana and Chrono Trigger were definitely great intros for me and stuff. You know, just even getting set on their whole adventure and everything. Like
yeah.
Just so good and everything.
Yeah. Well, Ed, we did it.
Yes,
we did it. We did the thing.
We did the thing. Well, thanks for listening and or watching Nintendo Pow Block, which is part of the Boss Rush Network. If you enjoyed our discussion, please do subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast application. You can support us over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye everybody. Woo-hoo!
Goodbye. If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.